Hello, and welcome to our first edition of Workshop Wednesdays. I'll be your host today. My name is Carly, and today I'd like to walk you through how to make a pair of paper earrings. Oftentimes in jewelry and metalsmithing, we do a thing called prototyping, which basically just means creating your design in another material like paper or wax or clay before you turn it into its final phase in metal. So although the earrings we are going to make today will be created out of paper, we are going to fashion them in such a way where they will have longer lasting durability by mounting them on a harder stock, like watercolor paper or cardboard or whatever you may find in your household that has a little bit more stability, if you will. These are a sample of earrings that are going to be made today, and the imagery comes from a magazine, and I cut the image out and then I pasted it on a piece of thicker stock watercolor. And the earring post mechanism is made from a matchstick and an eraser. If you don't have a matchstick at home, you could use a toothpick or maybe a chopstick. The chopstick is a little bit of a thicker gauge, so it's going to take a lot more effort to whittle it down to this tapered gauge that will be able to go through most people's ear holes if you don't have a gauged ear. But anyhow, this mechanism was inspired by the coconut earring that you will often find in Costa Rica. You can also find them in South America. So, what you will need for this project is a magazine, one preferably with lots of beautiful imagery and textiles and shapes and colors. You will need a scissor, a pencil sharpener to get you started with tapering of the ear post. And if you don't have a pencil sharpener, you can just use a flat-edged knife, kitchen knife, not serrated. You can use these matchsticks, or like I mentioned before, you can also use a toothpick or chopstick. We're going to use file to sand the burrs off of the ear post so it's not scratchy when it goes through your ears. The eraser will be for the earring backing. I have a little awl to poke through the earring and also the eraser so that the post can go through. And if you don't have an awl, you can use a nail. And I am going to be using wood glue because this is what I have in my house. And if you don't have wood glue, regular Elmer's glue will suffice just as well. Or maybe even like Mod Podge or something like this. So first things first, I like to leaf through the magazine and pick out 5 or 6 different imagery ideas that we can cut directly out of the magazine in the shape that they are and the size that they are, and the diameter or dimension will be easily worn on the face. So, like for example, I tend to wear bigger earrings, but you know, I'm sure you could find a little motif in here that would be suitable for your style in particular. But here's something that would be kind of cute and kitschy. Like these little cutting boards that are in this kitchen scenery. It might be kind of fun to use one of those objects, and I would say that that's probably only about 3/4 of an inch long by, I don't know, maybe 1/2 inch wide. So that's totally wearable as is, as a subject matter or shape that's you're being able to cut directly out of the magazine. And another way that you can go about looking at imagery in the magazine and thinking about cutting it out would be to look at patterns that you would see maybe on like wallpaper or rugs, for example. Like this pattern here is a really interesting like abstract brush stroke in monochrome, and maybe you can use this to cut like rectangles out of it, or triangles, or circles, ovals, you know, any kind of like geometric shape would be cool. Another thing you can do with it might be to use it as like, if you wanted to layer like a background element would be interesting. Maybe you find a word in the magazine and you use that textile as your surface to place the word like on. I don't know. There are a lot of different ways that you can get creative by using imagery from magazines, but you know, let's start simple for now and just cut out like, I don't know, I want to say maybe like 6 or 7 different images that could be asymmetrical earrings or symmetrical earrings. This would be kind of funny to do like a bowl of strawberries and some bacon, your little breakfast earrings. You can get fun, you can get cute with it, you know? For me, I have decided to utilize some words. So I ripped out a few pages that had some words, finding my place. These times are very interesting. A lot of us are kind of delving into new creative endeavors because the ones that we had before may have been not accessible at this point in time, or maybe you couldn't bring your studio to your home, maybe you didn't have access to your studio. So we're trying to find new ways to be creative, and I just thought those words kind of rang true for the time, so maybe we could do something with them. Also, they're pretty bold, and I like how they had the border. I like the different shapes, so if I were to use these as an earring, I would have an asymmetrical pair of earrings that just said the phrases finding place, maybe. I don't know, just as an example. Another interesting pattern that I found was this like really cool circle that had triangles within it, and I don't know, I thought for this one maybe I would cut like pieces of that out and use as post earrings. I also thought this like lamp collection here was interesting as like an asymmetrical but, you know, congruent pair of earrings that you can wear. And then going back to using this technique as a way to prototype for earrings that you may want to make in the future once things are more available to us again, like our workplace studios. You could think about using like different design motifs that you find within wallpaper. This one has some like snakes and busts and dishes and flowers, and I thought it was just kind of interesting and cool. And if, you know, for me, I like to do a lot of etching in my practice, and so for this pattern I would copy it in black and white and then use like the silhouettes to etch maybe into like a piece of sheet metal and see where, you know, how I can experiment with that. Yeah, so let's see, you know, where we get. Cut out a couple different pieces, and you know, not everybody's going to be a winner, but we're definitely going to get at least one or 2 pair of earrings out of this process. So, you know, take your time, have fun with this, and maybe we could post your earrings that you made after you finish the project on our page and show everybody like how the project's turned out, and you know, you can give us some input on any kind of troubleshooting that you may have, or that you want to discuss when you were working on your project. So I picked out my different shapes and designs for my earring patterns. And now what I'm going to do is take my little matchstick, one of my matchsticks, dip it in the glue, and just try and get an even coating of glue on the back of your image, just a small amount, not too much. And then we're going to place it onto our heavier stock paper. Try and smooth it out a bit with your finger. And remove the excess glue and just smear it on your magazine waste that you've cut out your shape from. And we're just going to place this directly above it. And so on and so forth. And while you're waiting for your imagery to set, let's start working on making the earring post. So to make your earring post, you're going to need 2 matchsticks, a flat kitchen knife, a pencil sharpener. If you don't have the pencil sharpener, the kitchen knife will do, and your embroidery file, or your emery file, should I say. This is a tool you use to file your nails.